Okay, so now that we've got our background, we've got our environment set, we're going to start creating our goalpost. Now, a good thing to do here is to make sure you are aware of where the camera is, because that's where you'll begin to see your model. So anybody who enters the environment will start to see this view first. If you want to have a play around with the camera, you can do. It's quite easy, and it has the same controls as all the other objects, so you can raise it a little bit. If we just have a look at it from the side angle, you will also see the ability to rotate the camera in a different direction, or you can actually also change its pitch, so it's looking down upon the pitch from a different view. I'm not going to do anything with the camera just yet. I'm going to go straight into building our goal nets. So let's just drag across. Remember what I said, you hold the spacebar and then click and drag your mouse to move forward. So I'm just going to put our goal mouth right here at the end of the street. And for this, we're going to use a cylinder shape, and I'm just going to click and hold. So remember, that's in the library building materials. So click and hold and drag that into place. And then you'll see these little arrows appear. The blue ones are for height. The red ones on the side are for width. And then you've also got the length, which are the green arrows. Just remember they're available if you want to scale up and down. You can also just use the drag to scale, but it will increase all sides at the same time. So in this case, we're just going to create a goal post by dragging the height. So let's make it up to a nice couple of meters there. Let's do 3 meters there for that one. And then have a look around to see if you're happy with that. That looks fairly good. And now what we're going to do is just right click again, and then we can just duplicate that to move it across for the other goalpost. So you can see another object appears, we click and hold, and we just drag it across to the other side. So there you have it, that's 2 goalposts, hopefully in line. Just have a quick look around, orbit round. Always check your model to see how it looks from different angles, because it might be that you're slightly off. But that seems pretty good to me. Notice I left a gap behind it. I want to use that gap to create the netting. Okay, we're going to have one more cylinder now, so just drag that cylinder in. Okay, this one I'm not quite sure about the length, but I want it to be the crossbar across the top. So the first thing I want to do is rotate the object. So I'm going to click on the rotation tool here, and then I'm going to move it along this green axis. That's brilliant, and then we can just raise it a little bit. Not quite sure about the height just there. I think that looks fine. And then lastly, if we just turn that off, we can go back to, so we turn that off to go back to increase its length, it's actually its height. Drag it from that side and drag it from this side across here. Okay, at this point, it doesn't matter if it's not precisely in line, but you can see there that I'm slightly off with the other goalpost. So I can just drag and move that into place. Okay, there we go, we've got the goalposts in place. And again, it's not going to be a smooth join at the top, but we're not really too fussed about the accuracy on that one. Okay, as long as we've got the goalpost at the right length, and it creates a nice little frame for our goal. Now, I'm going to add a cuboid block here to create the netting. You can actually just do it with a flat one. Completely up to you how you prefer to do this. I just prefer the textures available on the cuboids. They're a little bit richer, so you can actually get a better effect for your netting. So I'm going to use a cuboid for the netting. Again, you can use a flat 2-dimensional shape. So the first thing we need to do is drag the shape onto our landscape. And again, we're just going to use those arrows to change the height. I think it needs to be a little bit bigger than the 3 meters. And then we can change the width of it. So I might make it a little bit wider from this side first. And this is where the snapping option really comes in handy, because what we can see there is it's actually almost magnetized to the length of the grid underneath the green pitch. So you don't really have to do too much to get it in a precise position. And that's the snapping tool there. We didn't need to do much with it at the minute. You can adjust its tolerance there. You can go lower or you can go higher. Okay, so I've got a nice little, what I think is a nice little netting area there. I'm just going to increase it a little bit. Okay, again, you can adjust this as you go through your model making. And you're probably wondering why I want to keep it as a big cuboid, and that'll become apparent in a few seconds when we change the settings of it. So that's our netting area. Now this is a crucial part of our model because this part will actually keep account or keep a recollection of the goal when the ball hits the goal. So what we're going to do here is to make it look a bit more like netting. Is I'm just going to double click it again to bring up the settings, and I'm going to change the name here, call it the net. And I'm also going to look at the material. So we've got a lot more material options in the cuboid because it's a three-dimensional shape. You can see a lot more here, and you can actually adjust each side of it separately. I'm not going to do that. I am going to select what I think is probably the closest to a netting look, which is this shape here, or this shape here. And then I'm going to just change the opacity here to make it a bit more see-through. Don't worry about the white lines on the outside, they will disappear. So I'm going to go for about 40% here. You can type into that box, by the way. Let's have a look at that. That looks fairly okay, actually. That's not too bad. Again, the background's playing a bit of a part in there, so I might just see if I can adjust that a little bit more to make it stronger. Alternatively, you can just go for a flat color. Okay, so if you wanted a white netting, you can do that if you want to. Okay, so there we have it. I think I'm happy with the netting there. Gives me a nice little shape and something to interact with. Now, this part at the end of this tutorial is really crucial to allow you to code with your net, being part of the instructions. So what we're going to do here is double click the net, and then what we're going to do is have a look at the coding option here, because we want that to be involved in the commands that we give to the ball later on. So we're going to click on the coding option, and we're just going to turn this option on. Don't worry about what that means right now because we will look at the coding together in a separate tutorial. So just turn that on, make sure that's turned on. And then the last thing we're going to do is we're just going to group these posts by holding Shift and clicking each one. If you're on an iPad, you can hold it down with one finger and use another finger to select multiple objects. So I'm just holding Shift on my keyboard and clicking each object. You can see all three of them are selected now, and I just want to right click and select the grouping option to create one single object. I did not include the net on purpose because I have a separate purpose for that net. It is going to be important when we do coding, so I'm going to leave that net as it is. All right, as you can see, that's a separate object. It's called net, and it's got the coding option turned on. There you have it. We've got the goal mouth and the goals created. So in the next tutorial, we're just going to have a look at how we can insert a goalkeeper and move that goalkeeper along that line.